So, Russell, so I know you from Real Estate Investment Network since 2008. Obviously one of the first people I had any sort of interaction from, if you can call it that. I was on the floor, you were on the stage, of course. So let's start from the beginning. How did you start as an investor, and then maybe add to that how you got involved with Rain? And I think most people know who you are, but we'll delve into that further as well with like the books you've written and all the educating you've done.
Well, you know what, Erwin, you're actually starting off with one of the hardest questions, right? It's one of those ones is, when you start talking about yourself, it's one of the hardest things you can actually do. Before we do dive into that, I wanted to just, I wanted to acknowledge you, Erwin. Couple things. What you're doing with your podcast and getting out an incredible message is just unbelievable. Also being nominated and, one of the top 20 influencers in Canadian real estate, it just proves to what you're doing. And all of that aside, what you do with your basket brigade, my friend, is just, it is so awe-inspiring to see what you do. I'm just, from afar, I'm on the other side of the country, Erwin. You got a big fan here, and you will always have a fan based upon what you're doing. So I just wanted to just acknowledge you as who you are. And if any of you are listening to this podcast, please give Erwin a review on iTunes and pump this up, because we need more content like this to get into the earbuds of more people to share the real story of what's going on in real estate. So
thanks, Russ.
Well, I guess with all that, what was the question?
Start from the beginning. How did you get involved investing in real estate, and why? Because it's not easy. It's not easy to invest in real estate. Why the choice too?
You know what? I guess if I was to really go back, we all have those inflection moments and those times in our life when things. Mine started way back. With a lot of people. A lot of people are probably going to talk about their origin stories, and mine started with a book. Mine started with a Rich Dad Poor Dad book. Robert Kiyosaki. And it came to me from when I went and met with my financial advisor, who was my mutual fund salesman at the time. And we sat down and he told me about this wonderful book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then I read it, and it just kind of opened my eyes up to to a different avenue. I dove into all the different realms of the Rich Dad Poor Dad. As a matter of fact, if I look at my shelf here on the side, you can't see it here because we're doing audio. I've got an entire section on my shelf just on the Robert Kiyosaki works, because it was that important. And it just changed my mindset. And, if I actually think back on it and if I review them back again, I didn't learn much from them, right? But what the most important thing it did was it just changed my way of thinking. To start building a business and invest in real estate was the biggest takeaway I came from that. So I said, well, you know what, let's go out there and let's find out this whole thing around real estate investing. So I went to an event out in Burnaby, British Columbia, and it was put on by a Canadian Rich Dad advisor, or the Canadian Rich Dad, Darren Weeks, there's a name that I haven't heard or talked about or heard anything from for a long time. He put on an event in Burnaby. And at this event, there was this gentleman named Don R Campbell who gave a presentation on the top places to invest in Alberta. And I won a negotiation strategy contest at this, and I won this report about the top places to invest in Alberta. And then from there, you know what? I bought in. I thought real estate was the answer, and real estate was the way to go. And it was just a natural fit for me because I was renting a basement suite. I had never bought a piece of real estate ever in my life up to that time. So it was a perfect fit, right? I had all the experience in the world as a real estate investor. I hadn't even bought my own home yet. So then I just started the journey and just surrounded myself with some of the best of the best. And I just absorbed, I just learned, I just, just kept doing the work. And, I guess the best way I could describe it is I just kept showing up. And I kept coming to an event, and I just kept learning, and everything I would take in and absorb, I would actually go out and implement and do. I was even to the point where I was hammering up, I buy houses signs at 5:00 in the morning, and I would just try to implement everything, stickers on my car, I buy houses signs. And so it was just a matter of the way back then story. I would just probably say it was just the massive amount of input, massive amount of learning, and more importantly, just a whole bunch of execution and finding what worked, what stuck, and then just taking a whole bunch of extra. And the biggest thing was just surrounding myself with some of the best people in the realm of real estate investment education. So that's the way back story of how things got started. Mm-hmm. And, it wasn't too long after that where I got my first place, 12719 122nd Avenue in Edmonton, Alberta, in a place called Calder. It was an up-down suited house. And I bought that place, and, I talked to a hiking buddy of mine who we did lots of hiking together. And I described this whole thing around joint venturing, which I had no idea what I was doing at that time. It was still so new, but he saw the passion in my eye, and he saw that I was willing to make this work. And I'm hard, as you can tell, I got some energy, and I'm bouncing in my chair already just thinking about this stuff. And I just sold him on the idea about doing a joint venture. As he put up the capital, I do all the work, and he bought into it. And we bought some places, and with that first place, I learned some hard lessons. I learned, it was an up-down suite place. The tenant in the basement died while I had it. The upstairs tenant, it sat vacant for a long, long time. So I learned property management the hard way. Ended up selling that place about 7, 8, 9 months in, and lo and behold, I lost about $700 on that first transaction. So my attitude was, I did everything wrong, and it cost me $700. Well, why don't I just fix one of those things? Let's not have the tenant die. Maybe that might be the first. Let's have that.
Yeah, Russ, you could have done more there.
Exactly. Let's have that the first thing. So I continued just buying places, and I just kept implementing what I was learning, and just kept following the right people, and just surrounding myself with amazing people. So, I guess the next phase I would call it in the massive acquisition mode. I went on a tear for 5 years where I bought a property a month for 5 years on average, right? And when I say that, it didn't happen each month. It actually happened over a course of 5 years. I added 60 properties to the portfolio. Now, if this was a live event, I would actually just do a timeout right here, and I would just gauge the audience. Some people go, oh, or you hear, ooh, ah, and I say, you know what? As impressive as that sounds, it was actually one of the stupidest things I could have ever done, because I just added way too many properties, way too fast, and hadn't gone in the background to build the infrastructure to actually support that amount of real estate that quickly on things. I had managers, and I took care of things, and things were well taken care of. But if you think about it, that's a big business now, right? 60 places. If you're talking average rent $1,000 per place, there, you need an entire team. And I was running it on while doing a full-time job, and also while going across the country, training and helping people. And it was just basically my wife and myself. So it really wasn't set up properly. Mm-hmm. And then during that time, I became part of the Real Estate Investment Network, mm-hmm. which is a fantastic organization. While I was part of there, we inspired hundreds of thousands of people across this great country to invest in real estate. And I'm looking at one right across here on the computer screen, and the podcast here is we inspired these amazing results for other people that then have gone, just take a look at yourself, Erwin. You've gone out, you've inspired others through your business. You've gone out and you've created the Basket Brigade. Mm-hmm. And I'm not here to say that I'm responsible, the Real Estate Investment Network responsible for that, but I think I'd like to know that we played a little bit of a part in that. And that's 100% what is my core intention in life, and that's mm-hmm. to inspire, encourage, and I will always come from a place of love and mm-hmm. support. So I guess that would be the growth, the acquisition phase, and then I guess I'd be in the next phase right now. And I'm I guess the easiest way to describe it, and maybe some of your listeners are going, what is Russell doing right now? I'm actually in going back to almost the beginning, and I'm reinventing things. I'm reinventing myself. I'm actually reinventing the way I educate. I'm reinventing the way I distribute all the wisdom and knowledge that I've had in my head from 16 plus years of doing all this. I'm digitizing everything I know, and I'm putting it all out there and building some online platforms for people to come and learn and be supported online. Mm-hmm. And I'm just having so much fun. And here's the other thing I'm doing too, is I'm actually going back to learn how to raise capital. and learn how to raise more capital. As a mentor of mine once said, Les Hewitt, who wrote the book, The Power of Focus, no matter what level you're at or no matter where things are, there's always another level. So I'm now interviewing people that are significant people that are raising capital. Like I'm doing this cool little interview series that I'm doing via video, like high quality 3-camera shoot stuff. Then I said, well, I brainstormed out the list, and I said, well, who would be people that I'd want to learn from? And I brainstormed out this list, and you know what? After about my 5th interview, we surpassed $100 million in capital raised from people that I were talking to. And now I'm at 13, and we're probably at $250 million of capital raised, the people that I'm interviewing, and I'm committing to do another 12 more to have probably 25 of these interviews done, and I'm calling it the $500 million club. Mm-hmm. Where I personally am asking the questions I want to learn from these people that are professional capital raisers, right? People that have put together REITs, people that have put together syndications, people that have raised. Talking to one guy from one family, one family entity, they've raised $100 million. So I want to learn from that. Yeah. And what I'm also committing to do is sharing everything I'm learning with the people that want to hear and listen to that as well. So that's part of the program I'm putting together. And Erwin, if you can tell that it's probably the hardest thing I've had to do, and it's the most rewarding work I've ever had to do in this last probably 6 months of doing all this work and just putting it all together, because it can be a little, lonely, and it can be a little, a lot of editing work, and you shoot a video and then, you don't get to actually see it for another 8-9 weeks after, because it just takes that long to edit these things and stuff like that. So all in all, I'm having just a blast. And I'm having fun, and I'm just connecting with people that I haven't talked to for a long time. And here's what it really comes down to is I've been blessed and I've been honored to meet some amazing people. And, with great power and with great, sorry for a Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility, right? And
one of my favorite quotes in general.
Exactly. And also, too much is given, much is expected. I've been blessed with so much. I think there is a lot that I have to offer to other people, and I have to share with so many other people out there. So I've been blessed and touched by so many amazing people that I actually feel obligated that I need to share all those lessons that I'm learning with everybody who wants to listen. So that's really, I know it's kind of a long-winded way of kind of sharing where I've been, where things are going, and where things are now, but I guess the best way to describe it is I'm actually back into a lot of learning mode and taking things up, and I'm scaling things up within my own personal business. And I'm also scaling things up within my ability to reach and touch and serve others as well within the realm of real estate.
Okay. And where are you releasing this? Where are you making this available?
Well, the best place to let's put it this way. I'm actually in the point right now of, depending when this comes out, I'm actually in the point of releasing it very soon. The best place to always get a hold, if you need to get a hold of me, is on my website at russellwestcott.com. That would be the best place. And the other, Aaron, you're going to like this one. I got the domain registered of jvjedi.com. So if you actually go to jvjedi.com is where I have some information about some webinars that I'm hosting. And I'm just sharing some information. So they're free webinars. Just anyone can just go there, click on sign. I'm actually making a commitment to do one a week, with the exception of my wife's birthday, until the rest to the end of the year. And people can either get it on my website or on jvjedi.com, and they can get the information, sign up for free, and I can share a little bit more about what the project is on that as well.
Excellent. Russ, one thing I always remember from your presentations was you didn't have a website. You had a URL. Okay, so how long did you have a website with no content?
Oh my goodness. Well, here's the funny thing, Erwin. Sometimes we need to do what we say and not what we do, right? I was telling people, you need to be credible. You need to get out there and build your brand. Yeah. And here I am. I had no website. Right?
Yeah, but you had a portfolio and a book, a best-selling book.
Actually, I launched my website almost exactly 1 year ago today.
Right. Okay. And so, the question was, how long? When did you register that URL?
It was registered in 2002. October 2002. It was registered.
Oh man.
and I never launched a website until 2017. So I actually have a blog post on that, my first blog post ever. There was actually on my website, if you would have went to my domain, it was a flashing, blinking light of an under construction sign.
I remember.
And I think I calculated it was like something ridiculous, like 17 million blinks that it had during those 15 years as a constant reminder that I hadn't had it done.
So I'm laughing because I always remember you talked about this website, how you didn't have a website, because it's a common question that I get as well. Investors like, do I need a website? No, it's not even do I need a website. It's what should go on my website, right? That's the question I get. And for years I referred back to, go look at Russell's website as for an idea. Right.
Yeah, I'm not. Sometimes we're here to serve as a warning to others. No.
Yeah. Right. But for people like, for example, like hindsight being 2020, you could have just thrown up a business card style website. Yeah, right.
I probably should have. I actually told me, some people said, Russell, what you just need to do is forward it to your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah. At a minimum, really dirt easy. Yeah. And what I mean by business card website, and I'm not telling you, I'm just for the listeners' benefit. Name, what is it you do, how to get in touch with you, like stuff that you have on your business card. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less, but at least do that, and then keep doing whatever it is that makes you money. Right? Like don't spend too much time on this website because you've accomplished plenty without a website.
This is true. However, I'm not saying it was right. It was what was done at that time, and I'm just going to give you it's funny. I'm actually in the point right now. I'm writing a blog post of 1 year post launch of website, and so for example, in the last 30 days, I've had over 600 visitors, unique visitors to the website. Right. So that's, what is that? 6,000 people a year. That up until that time, I wasn't able to inspire, encourage, and provide support to.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So if that gets anyone off the fence to get a website out there, or to launch a podcast or something, if your attitude and philosophy is to help inspire others, you need to share what you know. So. Yeah,
you did plenty from the rain stage. It's all right,
Russ. Yeah, all right.
I'm going to give you a pass on this one for not having a website.
Thanks for giving me some credits there. It is back to school time, and that's why I see that big smile on your face, Erwin, right?
No, I'm laughing also because before we started recording on this, when we finally got everything working, was you were asking me about podcasts, right? Podcast is way more work than a website. So, there's steps, right? There's steps to everything, and you're able to drive traffic to your website, which is... and people forget about that stuff. Like if you're not going to have a full campaign to be able to drive traffic to your website, I don't know how much you need to invest in a website or in a podcast or anything like that. Because you can have the best product in the world, if you're not putting it in front of people, they won't see it.
Yep.
Right.
The best advice I would give, if any of you are out there, and even this is for people that do have a website, the best advice that was given to me that I took very close to heart was, what is the intention and what is the feeling you want people to have when they go to your website and to all your properties, to all the, your podcast, everything? Be very intentional and be very mindful when creating an intention and a feel. And mine, based everything I do top to bottom, is in alignment with my core values of inspire, encourage, love, and support. Okay. And I did it even from the design of the colors. The blue and the teal is a very trusting, supportive, inspiring color. Everything to the pictures, everything to the flavor of the way I sign the signature, everything to that always comes down to those intention and a feeling you will get by going to a website. So that's my on my soapbox advice that I would give somebody right now.
So you forced me to do it. I had to go look at your website.
Oh, well, there you go. I got another click. There you go. Another unique visitor.
Okay, so let's get back into some of the real estate stuffs. What were some of the mistakes you made? So one of the common questions I get is how to make the leap to full time as an investor. You still had a ridiculous size portfolio, and you still had another job. So, what were some of the lessons in that? How did you get that under control? What were some of the mistakes that you would have, if you could have gone back and corrected to make life easier?
Well, it's funny. I'm building a module right now of the mistakes made, and beware the dark side. Sorry for the JV Jedi term here. Thanks, but there's a couple of the things. Number one is be aware. The biggest thing is I bought here. I'm going to try and be open and vulnerable here for a bit. Is when I first got going, and that whole thing of a property a month for 5 years, 60 properties, yada yada yada. I was buying properties at that time based upon my ego. And I was buying properties based upon trying to be the guy on stage that everybody was trying to look up to. And you know what? I need to buy a whole bunch of properties. And I also jokingly say this a lot of times is I suffer from a very serious infliction of short man syndrome. And short man syndrome is when sometimes you have to go out there and you have to feel that you have to be better than everybody else, and you have to do things over and above everybody else just to prove your self-worth. So the biggest mistake I made was I was buying real estate to fulfill upon a self-worth issue that I was having within myself. Okay. And that is a recipe for disaster. If you're buying properties to just stroke your ego, and you're buying properties just to say, look at me, look how wonderful I am, and look at all this wonderful things I'm doing, that is a recipe for disaster, because I bought places that were just not good properties. Lo and behold, I wish I had not bought as many places that I had, but they're all good learning experiences. I've learned everything from every property I've ever bought, whether they've been good, bad, or ugly. It's been fantastic learning experience. So number one, I would say is understand why you're buying the real estate, and just be extremely clear if it's serving a vehicle for something greater, and not just trying to fulfill something that's missing within you already. Okay. Mm-hmm. The other thing I would share with everybody is there, I coined the phrase, and I think it might have been a business partner of mine, Jason, that coins the phrase is, the 3 pillars of real estate. It's what you buy, where you buy, and who you rent to. Okay. So those are the 3 pillars: what you buy, where you buy, and who you rent to. And the most important thing to consider is who you rent to is the number one thing you need to consider, because that determines what type of property you buy and where you buy it. Okay. I never gave any consideration of the type of tenant profile, right? The only thing I considered at the time was, oh man, it's cheap, and it's in this area, and it cash flows. And, I never actually gave a consideration to the tenants that were in there. And, we could go on horror stories. I've had gunfire in my units. I've had the police services phoning me and telling me that, oh, by the way, do you own this property? And I go, I don't know, I'll check. And they go, yeah, well, there was just there's a report of somebody shooting from there. And I go, oh man. So just all those kind of things. So always think about the tenant profile first. Then from there, match the right tenant to the type of property in the right area, which has actually led me to a little bit of a different change in strategy that I'm doing now with my portfolio. Is I'm actually buying brand new construction properties. New construction properties in really good areas that perform very, very well. It's a completely different experience owning a brand new construction suited house, or a house with a laneway suite, or a house with a duplex with suites in it. Different things. It's a different experience owning a new construction place than it is to owning a 40, 50, 60-year-old townhouse.
Right.
And in Ontario, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of years old of places and things like that. So. Now, I do understand, I'm going to just say this as a caveat, I do understand in every market across the country, that doesn't work. A new construction place might not work. I do understand that. Yeah. But in the markets that I'm investing in, for my buy and hold portfolio, I think there's a window, and it's an opportunity that it does work. And it's like a breath of fresh air to buy a new construction place. No,
you're lucky, because in Ontario, our market is very heated, and builders don't want to do more work than necessary. That's why they charge through the nose for any sort of upgrades, because that's labor that they have to allocate to renovating your property or improving your property versus building property. And I don't know if anyone knows people who have bought something new construction or are buying it themselves. Almost everything is delayed right?
Yep.
So if you're the builder, do you want to keep the project on time or get someone laminate floors and imagine a legal basement suite, all that extra work involved, right?
Now, can I offer two more mistakes that I made? Because here's the thing, Aaron. We could fill probably 4 podcasts just on the mistakes that I've made here. So, the other thing too is always have said, and I was standing on stage to say, buy for the long term, right? But here's the thing is when you're brand new and you're just into it maybe for 5-6 months or maybe into a year and a half, you say, yeah, I'm into it for the long term. Until you've actually been in it for 15 years or 20 years, you don't know what long term is. Yep. Okay. Yep. Understand that a long term cash requirement for a rental property is significantly more than what you think it is. Now, I'm not here to scare people away. I'm here just to open your eyes and give you a perspective on things. And this is a perspective from somebody who's been there through the trenches, took the bullets, and it's come back for more, right? I'm doubling down essentially on things. So it takes a significant amount of more, because if you've owned a place for, let's say you bought a property, it's 40 years old when you bought it, and you've owned it for 15 years, it's now 55 years old. You have to pretty well budget that almost everything's going to have to be replaced. Everything's going to have to be done. And there'll be multiple times you've had to put flooring in, multiple times you've had to paint it. It takes more cash than you think to own and operate a piece of real estate. The other thing, big lesson to learn, and I get this conversation all the time with really young people. Like when I first started, I was in my early 30s and almost like in my 30s. I had an invincible attitude, right? And it's just like borrow, leverage more. Let's keep going. Let's just keep sucking every piece of dollar equity out of this place. At the end of the day, it all has to be paid back, right? So here's the thing is, why don't you intentionally design it right now that you potentially can have a free and clear portfolio in 15 years if you do it correctly. But the decisions you make today will impact 15 years from now if you make the right decisions today. Okay, so understand that, have a better plan at the beginning, understand that all that money that gets borrowed needs to be paid back, and understand it's going to take more cash than you will have probably anticipated when you first bought your place, and understand that the type of property that you're buying impacts the area, and most importantly, the type of tenant profile the customer is there. So that's, if I could summarize it, that would be the best learnings I've had from all those years of wisdom.
Right. Oh boy.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah, 4 episodes. Okay, so what would an ideal portfolio look like then for someone who's starting? Well, everyone who's listening to this is already considering their next purchase. So, what would you do with your next purchase?
An ideal portfolio would be the following. Everybody is different and unique, and I would say, based upon your lifestyle and based upon your time commitments, your real estate needs to support that, not add stress to it. And here's what I'd say. A big mistake would be somebody who is maybe they're an engineer and their spouse is a nurse, and they got 2 young children, and they're full-time, more than full-time, up to their eyeballs with work and family commitments and all that kind of stuff. The worst investment you could make would probably be get into a time commitment of a renovation project and doing a restoration and something that's going to take years, even though there might be some money in it, right? And there might be equity down the road. It just doesn't match your lifestyle and your time commitments, right? So match the property that you're buying to your lifestyle and the amount of time. So for example, that analogy I used with that couple, they might want to buy a turnkey brand new construction property that already has a tenant in it that's ready to go, and all they do is they then get a property manager, and then they will just cash rent checks on a timely basis. And when a month, if there's any maintenance, they phone the builder that takes care of things and a new home warranty, and it's just based upon the time commitment. Right. So that's, for example, that's an idea. Now, if somebody is a full-time investor and they have all the time, they have time and they have the skill and they have the know-how and knowledge, they might want to go out and they might want to do a character restoration home that's going to take 9 months, but it's also going to net them $200,000 in profit at the end of it too. Right. So just be mindful about how much time it's going to take, Be mindful about what your lifestyle looks like, and also be very mindful about what your end goal, because real estate is a vehicle to get you there. It's not the world, right? It's just a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell very succinctly what my goal is. I'm going to just flat out lay it out here. So my portfolio that I'm buying, and I actually just, I'm one of the experts, and I'm not saying people don't, but I actually buy real estate and
a lot of it.
And that's what I learned from the last place I bought was 6 weeks ago. And in the market I'm in Vancouver and the lower mainland of Vancouver, I think there's an arbitrage opportunity to doing some flipping of some condos. Even though the market has slowed a little bit, but it's still okay. There's an opportunity between unrenovated and after repaired renovated. There's enough of a spread that you can actually take some time and you can actually make some money. So I'm actually looking to flip condos in the lower mainland of Vancouver, with the goal to eventually get to buying an apartment building, to strata title it and flip out each of the individual units strata title. That's the goal eventually I want to work towards. And then I'm taking the money I make from the Vancouver marketplace and I'm paying off my portfolio in Edmonton, paying off all the mortgages, and I'm buying brand new construction houses in Edmonton. And I eventually want to own my portfolio free and clear in 5 years. That's my goal. That's personally, because here's the goal, guys. Everybody, we sit there, we want to keep acquiring properties. The goal that you need to have is you actually need to own the properties free and clear. And you'd be better off having 7 free and clear houses than 70 houses mortgaged up to 90% loan to value.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one sounds wonderful on Facebook, and one sounds wonderful when you're boasting out there, I own 70 doors, and you're just, look at me, da, 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 right? Here's the other thing, is if you own those 7 properties free and clear, you actually get to enjoy the lifestyle, right? So that's the goal we want to play.
Russ, how many properties do you hold now from your old portfolio? Actually,
I'm at, I've transacted almost 100. Now I just actually with the last one, I just about pushed it over to 100. I am now holding 36. And that's changing because I have 4 places up for sale right now, including my latest flip project, which here's the fun thing. And I'm going to share this with you, another vulnerable moment, if you will. Of all those properties and transactions I've done, I've never done a flip. Never. Right? So this first flip, I'm actually treating it as, I'm calling the project, You Can Teach an Old Dog a New Flip. So I'm actually documenting the entire process of what it takes to flip a place. Mm-hmm. I'm got all the cost spreadsheets and all the mistakes that were made and all the timing and all the negotiations. And I'm actually video documenting the entire journey. And I'm committed to share that entire journey to inspire others to take the same maybe first step for themselves. Because it's never too late to try something new for the first time.
Cool. Right? Super cool. That sounds awesome.
So that's another project, and that's another fun thing of the whole realm of video editing and doing that. So it's amazing on how this technology is out there, and I feel so lost sometimes, but you know what? It's fun. It's fun.
So how does the strategy work? How did you come across this opportunity for the arbitrage? In case anyone wants to try to find it closer to home. And then the other question is, are you accepting money for this?
Well, let's put it this way. I raised just short of $600,000 for the first portfolio.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I say, it was time to eat my own cooking, right? If I'm telling people, and here's the thing is I'm also a coach. I actually have a really cool little boutique coaching program where I take some aspiring real estate investors one-on-one, and I'll take them up to the next level. And I'm just so blessed with the people that I'm coaching right now that the entire, every one of them are in deals, and most of them have doubled their portfolio, right? So it actually come to the point where I was out at networking events, and I was just talking and networking with people, surrounding myself with people that are doing the action. Mm-hmm. And it just came at here's an opportunity. Everybody's sharing these different opportunities. Mm-hmm. And I said, send me your spreadsheet. Show me that. I want to look at this. I want to look at that. And I go, you know what? That's fantastic. And so here I was sitting there coaching my students, and I said, you know what? I'm seeing in the lower mainland of BC, and a couple of them, 2 of my clients are in the BC marketplace. I say, you might want to take a look at this arbitrage opportunity in the lower mainland. And I sat back and I go, you know what? I'm being a little inauthentic here. And I'm being inauthentic because I haven't done one of these myself. right? And I sat there. It was actually Easter weekend. I woke up on Good Friday and I said, you know what, Russ, time to put your money where your mouth is, and let's go buy one of these and let's just prove to that can be done, and let's inspire others to do the exact same. So I got up on Good Friday. I phoned my realtor and I said, his name's Cam. And I said, Cam, send me all the opportunities you have on the book. And then I started making some phone calls to my network of people with some capital that I knew. And lo and behold, within a few phone calls, there was a guy that was saying, yeah, I'm all in it. Let's start with 400 and we'll scale it from there. So we bought the first place all cash, right? Including all that. And so I just did it with a joint venture partner of just exactly what I teach. So I'm just going through the entire process to prove that this model will work.
Right.
And I want to do it the right way. I want to build it with a strong foundation, and then I want to scale it.
Right. That's super cool.
No different than what I do. We coach and we teach people, right? We need to eat our own cooking.
Right. But you're doing the first acquisition with other people's money and credit.
Well, it's actually cash. It's all their cash.
No credit.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to highlight that for our listeners.
Well, but here's the thing is I actually have 3 private lenders that will lend on all these opportunities already.
Yeah.
Up to 65% loan to value, a 1% fee, and a 7% interest rate. And some will even go up to 75%. But here's what my conversation with my partner was.
Just for the listeners' benefit, because you only need that money short term. That's why those terms are okay for you. Yes,
3 to 6 months at the most.
Right.
But here's the conversation I had with the money partner. He had cash in the bank, right? He had, I'm not going to say the number, but it was a sizable number of just cash in the bank. And I said, if you're interested in doing this, why don't you fund it? I'll take care of all the details, and I'll just, we'll split the profits at the end. And I said, we can go the route of private lenders, or let's not pay all those fees to them because you have the cash in the bank until we get second opportunity and third opportunity and fourth opportunity. Why don't we just use the cash and save $4,000 in lender fees along the way and just add that to the profits? Yeah, that sounds great. Right?
So Russ, just for the listeners' benefit, I haven't prepared Russ for like anything. So Russell, small favor. Can we just do a quick role play? Pretend I'm the money partner. And you are you. Can you play you?
You're the money partner. Okay.
Right. So I'm the person with, say, $500,000 in the bank. Right?
Right.
Let's make it a little trickier. Say it's 200. Is that enough?
Okay.
Is that enough?
Well, it would be definitely enough to get started because we could then go the route of private lending and then to top up the difference.
Okay. So that's good. So, that's good. So we're making this a little bit more difficult for you.
So if it was 200 divided by 0.65, we could get upwards of we could buy a $300,000, $400,000 place, give or take, or more, right? Hang on. Let me do the math. It's 300. Would you say 200,000?
Say I have 200,000 in the bank.
Divided by. We potentially get an asset for about $570,000 with that amount of money.
Enough? Okay, so what I want to get across to people is people get stuck on the details. So let's get into some of these details.
Yep.
How to have the conversation. How to have the conversation. So pretend you're calling me. I'm the person with the money. You're you.
Okay. I'm first going to tell you about you, Erwin. Okay.
Okay.
Because I have known you for a while, and here's what you have. You have capital in the bank, and you have a sizable amount. You don't want to work because you've earned the right to not be able to have a job anymore. Because you actually have a lot of money in the bank, you actually want to be able to have your money make money for you. Okay? So one of your key things that you want to do is you don't want to work anymore, or you don't want a job. I guess so. My conversation with you is, Erwin, would you be interested in us having a conversation how we can generate you $100,000 a year income stream so you actually don't have to touch your investment capital ever?
Okay.
Would that be of interest to you?
I'm glad you're talking to me.
Right. So and we've known each other for a while, or we've been working together, and we've had lots of communications and conversations because I know a lot of your details, and I know your governing why. Your governing why is you want to go ride your motorcycle, and your governing why is you want to take the summer off, and your governing why is you want to go travel, and your governing why is you want to eat great food in Japan while you're traveling, and that's really what your core values in life are. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some investment opportunities that can actually help support you to be able to do more of your riding your motorcycle, to do more of your traveling around the world, to do more to eating unbelievable food when you're traveling in Japan, right? So I'm showing you investment opportunities So for you, the most important thing for you is to generate an income on your money. Okay, so I'm going to put an investment opportunity in front of you and a plan in place that we're going to get to you within 3 years. We're going to get you up to $100,000 a year income level based upon the money that you have. Now, the number would change if it was only $200,000 you had to work with, right? I would find for you, I would get you to a point maybe where you generate a $40,000 or $50,000 a year income level with the amount of money you have to start with. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take care of all the details, and all you're going to do is your CIBC Irwin. Right? Don't you want to make money like a bank makes money? Right? All you do is you just lend out the money and the capital you have, and somebody else goes to work and puts their boots on, take care of all the details, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and secured on real estate.
It's secured on real estate, right? And what I'm going to then do is I'm going to put a plan in place, and I'm 100% with you. I would be transparent in this first transaction of say, look, I have never flipped a place. I haven't. I'm honest. I'll tell you that. However, I've transacted a lot of real estate and I have a lot of contacts, and probably within 5 phone calls, I can get a whole bunch of contractors that will come in that can give me some good quotes, and just people who I know, right? Are you okay that for this first one, it's going to be a little bit of a learning experience, but and we'll go from there. And then from there, I have plans to scale this into entire apartment buildings where we'll do the exact same thing. Instead of 1, we'll do 12 at a time. Does that speak to you or what?
I just heard the returns and not having to work.
Right. So then from there, it's all 100%. It's just fulfilling upon what is most important to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's as simple as it gets. And from the mechanics of it, Irwin, we could do one of 2 things. Or one of 3 things. We can go and form an entire separate corporation and go through all that rigmarole. We can get a joint venture agreement signed, which, might be the best one. Or we can just get this letter of intent, a memorandum of understanding about here's what you're going to do, here's what I'm going to do, and let's just move forward. Let's just make some money on some real estate. And I can tell you the route that last person went. He just wanted to do the memorandum of understanding. He wanted to keep it simple.
Yeah, he wants to pay lawyer fees.
Yeah, and so lo and behold, we were out setting up a bank account, and bank draft was put in, and I went out and negotiated on a property, put an all cash offer in, got it tied down, and then I had renovation contractors coming in. We finished the job in 3 weeks. With the renovation, it was about a $35,000 renovation. It was on the market in less than a month after I closed on it. Haven't got an offer yet, but we bought it for $403,000. We paid $35,000 in renos, maybe a little touch more. Let's just call it $37,000, and it's on the market right now for $519,900. And if I sold on the calculation that I did, let's say we got $505,000 for it, or even $500,000. After realtor fees, commissions, there's approximately $35,000 to $40,000 that will be split on that property in a 3-4 month time frame. Yeah. And so far, we actually turned it around, and we're 2 months in. We haven't got an offer to sell it yet, but we can hold and we can wait a little while, and I'm okay to drop the price if we need to as well. So the last comp in the building for a renovating unit was $517,000.
And yours is fully renovated.
Fully renovated. Yeah. And that's the last comp, for a fully renovated property was $517,000.
Right.
So well, it's fun. And you want to know the real fun thing that's come out of this as well is my lovely wife, Corrine, who's just amazing at decorating and staging and stuff like that. She just really leaned into it, and she put together, she went into the property, and here we are, 4 guys, 2 contractors, myself, and we're trying to make these decisions on appliances and stuff. And who's there, Irwin?
That's my daughter.
Oh,
she ran in and ran out.
So we're trying to make these decisions on appliances and cabinets and stuff. And I said, why don't I just bring Corrine over? And she walks into the kitchen. She goes, oh, I like the thought you guys have here. Where are you guys actually going to put the dishes? I go, what do you mean where are we going to put the dishes? She goes, no, that's for food. That'll be a pantry. That's for food. She goes, you guys are short about 4 cabinets. I go, well, she goes, well, what about over here in the dining room? Let's put some cabinets and put the quartz countertop. And she just elevated things up, and she just put an amazing touch on it. And you know what? I'm not putting words in her mouth, but it may turn into a staging business for her, or a design, or a decorating, because that's what she loves to do, right? So it's just been a fun process that we're just falling in love with the process of real estate. As you can tell, I'm very passionate and I just love what I do. So this is fun.
That's actually a lesson, is that especially for the guys, this might sound sexist, but from my experience, it's usually the woman that makes the decision where the family lives. So
I'm offended her. That's because we resemble that remark, don't we?
Yeah, in my context, it's true. In being a landlord, I find that's very true. So you better renovate with considerations to what the matriarch of the family is going to think.
Yeah, yeah. So,
and where can people get pictures? Did you post pictures anywhere of this property?
Well, here's the thing is I have about 90 videos that I've shot
in the one property.
In the one property on just different things, like today's lesson. Here's what I learned. Here's the walkthrough. So what I'm doing, here's the project is, I'm eventually getting that all down into like a documentary, about a 20-minute video.
Right.
Where it's documenting the entire process.
Right.
And then I'm going to share that with everybody who wants to learn from it. So if you want to see some pictures of, the best way would be probably my Facebook. I posted a few pictures on Facebook. But the video is still coming. And the number one reason why I was able to do this was because I was able to raise the capital. Okay.
Yeah.
So based upon that one skill, and to be honest, Erwin, trust me when I say this, I was the orchestra of the band. I did not swing a hammer. As a matter of fact, I'm glad I didn't, because the value of the property would have went down if I did any of the work. The only thing I did was bring beer to the people doing the work, and I mopped the floor at the end.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
So the key message is be the orchestra of the band, don't be the tuba player, if you don't know how to play the tuba. Right? So
no, it's good
that
that
project is coming.
It's a good point as well. Like, you're willing to roll up your sleeves, because some people will do too much, and some people won't do enough. Right.
Well, quite frankly, I wouldn't have known what I was doing anyways. Right. So I'm actually learning. Remember, I'm the guy learning on this, and I'm going to hold everybody accountable to what they say and budgets, and make sure that they're doing the job. And the people that I worked with, I 100% trusted, and they just did an amazing job on that. And, did I pay a little bit more money to have somebody else be the project manager and the contractor? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Right. But I had other things to do.
Yeah. Anyone who hasn't tried to organize contractors, try it first, and then if you don't believe in general contractors.
Yeah, what's the old saying is, you can either have it good, fast, or cheap, right? And you can only pick two of those three.
Yeah.
So I had it fast and good.
Yeah.
It wasn't cheap.
And you already have complexity in that you haven't done a flip. I wouldn't recommend anyone try a flip with having never done a flip, and then they want to general contract themselves, and they never general contracted themselves.
Now, don't get me wrong when I say that. I've actually probably renovated hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of rental properties than I ever want to admit to.
Right.
So I understand that game. I wasn't, completely green around the ears around it, but I was green around the ears when it came to some of the things about, dealing with the materials list and having to get the approval from the strata. And lo and behold, we're buying on a concrete slab property over top of a parking lot, and then you had to have an R1IC 70 soundproofing, and just don't get me. I could get going on and on about all these kind of intricate details of things, but it was fun. We're just having so much fun and just loving life right now. So.
And I want to say, because when you were pitching me, whatever you want to call it, sometimes people think sales is a bad thing.
I was helping you fulfill upon your life's intention.
Yeah. And actually, just to touch on that, like people, like listeners, like your life intention, figure out all these people take, they need to find themselves. Like, just on a daily basis, think about what it is that makes you happy, and then do more of it, right? And then to be able to do more of it, it really helps to make a good amount of money. Because people, everyone knows the term. Everyone knows time is money, and money can buy you time. Right? You have lots of money. Your investments are doing well. You're working with Russell JV Jedi, who's making you money passively. Means you don't have to show up for the job. Right? You have the choice to work or not. and then that gives you time to travel, to spend time with family.
So I'm just going to clip this out and send this to all my future joint venture partners for you. So here's a point. Here's a message.
Sorry, you cut me off. So let me finish that point.
Sorry about that.
Let me do my second point. Is your presentation of the opportunity works because people who know you know that you'll give it everything you got to make sure the project is successful. So I think that's something that everyone has to look at themselves first before you accept someone else's money or in credit. Like, are you the person that will get it done? Because when I worked a day job, when I worked for IBM, I learned that was my best job skill. You give me something, it will get done. No one has to look over my shoulder, right? And then each of us as investors, not everyone has that skill. Something I said to myself every day, whatever the task was, like, I don't care. I just say this to myself. Say, I don't care what the problem is, get it done. Right? And that's sort of how I handle my staff, including my contractors and stuff but it's much nicer. It's more like, what do you need to get it done? Right? Yep. Let's move forward. Can you get it done? Russell does. Because that's why people trusted you, like including your very first joint venture partner.
Absolutely.
He believed you.
Well, here's the thing and it's evolved over the years. And I was a mentor of mine just recently said, most of your money partners will bet on the jockey, not on the horse. Right. Just another way of saying they'll bet on you as the person and not the real estate investment opportunity. That's what they're buying into, is the trust and the arrangement they have with you, and not buying into a piece of real estate. Right. So the real estate is just a vehicle, Erwin. It's just, honestly, it's just a vehicle and a bridge. You are the bridge to help get somebody on a financial basis to where they are, to where they want to get to eventually. Right. And, some of the coaching I do is funny. One of my coaching clients, he was working with this lady, and she was talking about that she wanted to retire in Italy, and she wanted to do that. And I go, you know what? You are the bridge to help her get to Italy, right? So whenever you put your presentation package together, it's going to be in the Italian flag colors. And when you go over to the house, you're going to wear Italian colors, and you may even present to her in Italian to just present the opportunity. Because here's what you're doing is, you as the real estate expert are taking a stand and fighting for her dreams. You're the vehicle to help her get to Italy. Okay. So if people just took that as a little bit of coaching for the next presentation you do, it's not about you and the money you do. It's about you fulfilling upon the wishes and goals and dreams of another person, and you're participating in their dream. You're a dream fulfiller, not a real estate investor.
And to bring it back to Spider-Man.
Sorry, I just had a mic drop moment. I just had a mic drop moment there. Sorry.
Too early. Okay, so repeat the quote. Repeat the Spider-Man quote.
Oh, with great power comes great responsibility.
So to the listener, if you can do this, and it doesn't have to be, like, think about if this was like for your brother or your mother or a sick relative, and you can do this for them. Like, that's how I feel. I know I have this guess of what I'm capable of, and so I need to do it in order to fund my charity, right? To be able to provide for my kids so they can buy their first property, down payment for their first property, pay for university, all those sorts of things. Because if I don't, those things don't happen. Because who else is going to do it? Who else is going to fund my charity?
And I'm not here to also profess that I know everything and I'm the best at everything I do. And I'm not that kind of a guy. As you know, Erwin, I've made a lot of mistakes, and sometimes it's the hardest thing in the world to do, is to let you admit that you've made mistakes. But just understand that, just be honest and be real and be true to yourself of who you are, and do the best with what you have at that moment, and just with an attitude to do whatever it takes to just keep getting better and grow from there. So I think we're getting deep. Are we getting too deep here? Or are we gonna have to make a follow-up appointment here?
Yeah, we do have to make a follow-up appointment. So I do think that's a good place to end it. So 2 things. Where can folks get in touch with you? And also, if anyone wants to follow along, you don't have to give me your cell phone number. So how can folks follow along with you? And you're doing an Ontario tour. Actually,
Yes,
you're coming to speak at my event.
Yes, that's actually the crown jewel of it as well. Is what are we, it all depends on when you're going to air this, I guess. So I guess we're dating it a bit, but I'm going to be at your event on what is it, October 18th, is it not?
Yep.
Thursday night. The Saturday before that, I'm going to be at the Rockstar event in with Tom and Nick. So we're actually going to continue the conversation at your event. I'm going to take it to another step deeper of going from there. I'm out in Ottawa before that. Ottawa, Durham, York, your group. So it's like a 5 or 6 stop tour in October. And I'm just so excited. And here's the other thing we're looking to do too, Irwin, and maybe you can be part of this too, is on the Friday after your event, so the 19th, I want to get together as many of the old gang together. And maybe we can all get together and have it's in October, it's kind of dicey for weather. Maybe we have a barbecue or something outside. I'm trying to coordinate with Ian Zabel, Mr. Short Bus, and maybe we'll,
Yeah, I just got my boating license. So we
nice.
could even rent like a pontoon boat and we can all get on it. I don't know if the weather's okay though. Seems like average temperature for October is like 15, high of 15. That may be cool. I don't know.
Well, you know what? Let's see how many people we can get together. So maybe we can all share it, and let's not overthink it. Let's just kind of pick a place and just kind of hang out and just have a really cool sharing time. I think it's long overdue with a lot of us. I haven't seen the Ontario group for probably close to 2.5, 3 years now coming on. So I'm excited about coming back.
Awesome. I'll reach out to all the Toronto Rain folks.
So to answer your question, the best place to go is if you're interested in the events that we're talking about on my website, russellwestcott.com/events. That's where I have my event calendar. So you can check out all the events there. As I mentioned, the webinars that I'm putting in place, if you just go to my homepage, my website, I should have a little button on there that you can take you through to the information about the webinars I'm putting on. Or even, jvjedi.com is another place too. So
okay, and listeners, I'll have this all in the show notes as well. So if you're driving, don't worry about it.
Yes, don't pull over. Be safe. Yeah.
You don't have to pull over and write this down. This will all be on my website, so don't worry about it.
Erwin, I'm just. It's been far too long. We've talked about this before. We actually probably hit the record button, but I'm just honored and touched that had the opportunity to connect. And I like to do this more often because I am every time. Let's put it this way: after every time we talk, I feel like I'm a better person.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to tell you that. So.
Well, gee, I've done okay, and wouldn't have been without you and Don. So.
I'm so humble. Humble.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again, Russ.
Right on. Have a good day, everybody. We'll talk soon.